Hello everyone, welcome to Story Time with Jamie. I'm so glad you've tuned in today to join us. If you enjoyed today's story, be sure and give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you can do that right now by just going right below and subscribing. And last but not least, if you like this story or want to check out any of my other books, you can go to jamiebryantbooks.com. Well, today I am reading a story from a book I wrote titled Fish Guts and Other Bedtime Stories. The story I'm reading today is an outdoor scene, if you haven't already guessed, since we're outdoors, and it is about something that took place in a little old creek that was at my grandparents' house when I was growing up. So let's begin. Today's story is titled The Big One. My grandma and grandpa Davis lived in Buchanan County. Their house was right off the highway and their actual address was Raven, Virginia. To get to their house, we had to travel over a bridge because there was a creek found directly in front of their house. Most of the time, the creek was ankle high, but sometimes certain areas got knee deep. If we were going to be playing in the creek, we had to wear shoes because rocks of all shapes and sizes and sharp edges were everywhere, kind of like the ones you see here today. Some days it appeared there were more rocks than water. When we went to visit Grandma, we would go inside, giving her and Grandpa a big hug. Usually we would eat because that was what you did at your grandparents' house. Next, we children would sit around the living room listening to our parents and grandparents talk about anything and everything. Who was in the hospital and who had recently died usually came up, and we children were bored to tears. Finally, after we felt like we had suffered enough, one of us would get up the nerve to ask if we could go outside. It's funny how we would always get the same response. Well, if you kids are finished visiting with us, I guess you can go on outside. I didn't quite understand why they said that because everyone had been talking 90 miles an hour to each other and hardly anyone had said a single word to us kids. Anyway, we were ready for our escape and usually headed right for the creek. My brother Mitch and I lived in a trailer park, so getting to play in the creek was a real treat for us. Our cousins, Robin and Scotty, who lived next door to Grandma and Grandpa, weren't as thrilled since they could play in the creek anytime. However, they appeased us by going down to the creek and playing with us anyway. We slowly made our way down to the muddy creek, the muddy bank, when we were smack dab in the middle of the creek. The banks were about 10 feet tall on each side, and the creek area where we played was always shady and the water was always cold. We were immediately on the lookout for minnows and crawdads. Scotty, the youngest of us four, saw the first crawdads. I liked them well enough, but preferred not to have him show it to me an inch from my eyeballs. Everyone was on the lookout now. Mitch scooped up some minnows in an old rusty can he had found. I tried to borrow his can, but no such luck. I decided to go upstream and look under the bridge for my own cup or can. My cousin Robin, she went with me that time. I could tell already that it was going to be one of those girls with girls and boys with boys days. Robin spotted a cup in the bank area, but when she picked it up, we saw it had several holes in it. That would never do, so we searched on. Our great Uncle John lived just a little ways up from the bridge, and we were almost at his house when I spotted it. The biggest fish I had ever seen anywhere near this creek went swimming by. I believe it was a trout. And in all of my 8 years of playing in the creek, I hadn't seen anything ever any bigger than a minnow. I gasped, and Robin assumed I had seen a snake. Did you see it too, Gracie? She's growling. She must have seen it too. What is it? She exclaimed. It's a fish! A real big live fish, I shouted back. He was now swimming his way past me and heading towards Robin. I thought quick and yelled at the boys. There's a big fish coming your way. Try to trap him. Yeah, right, Mitch yelled back. When I started running and slipping on rocks as fast as I ran, I finally caught the boys' attention. I think she's serious, Mitch told Scotty. There, look, Scotty yelled. And both boys finally spotted the trout. Quickly, Mitch and Scotty were gathering some large rocks to try to block off the fish before he got past them. Robin and I arrived just as the fish appeared, and we had him trapped. Scotty was so cute when he spoke. It's a big one! We've caught ourselves a big fish! Instantly, we knew we had a fun afternoon in store. Imagine a fish aquarium with a 14-inch long fish inside. The area we blocked off was perfect for our catch because the water was almost knee-deep. I'm not sure our captive would have survived very long in ankle-deep water. The excitement of watching him swim around and around and then the attempt to go back upstream was pretty cool. We decided to dam up an upstream area to give him a little pond area to swim in. He was so much fun to watch. One minute he would be perfectly still, and then the next minute our fish was swimming with pride. A few times he flopped in the water and splashed us all in the face. We had truly made a new friend. After an hour or so of watching him, Robin and I decided he must be hungry, so we went in the house to get him some bread. We found a plate of leftover cornbread and confiscated most of it. We would throw a small piece on top of the water and wait very quietly. We'd all jerk when all of a sudden he would jump up in a flash and he would gobble every bite and swim back down. I should have known that Mitch would eventually try to pick him up, and he did. Our prize fish just jumped right out of Mitch's hands and almost escaped the barricade we had set up. We enjoyed our friend for the rest of the afternoon, and before we knew it, our mom and dad were ready to leave and go home. All four of us agreed to set him free. Slowly, we moved the rocks where our barricade had been, and he was gone in a flash. All of us were thankful for the time we had to enjoy our captive that afternoon, but it was also a pleasure to give him back his freedom. We would all remember the day we caught the big one for a long time to come. What did you think about that story, boys and girls? Do you guys like to go fishing? You do? You've never fished? Well, you certainly need to go fishing. It's a lot of fun. But this wasn't the regular fishing, was it? No, this was we kind of caught a fish and trapped him in between some rocks. It was such a fun day, and I remember those fun times with my cousins in Virginia. Well, as I said before, if you enjoyed today's story, you can give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, subscribe, so each time I release a new story that I've written, you'll get notification and you can see it right away. And last but not least, if you like this book or any of my other books, you want to check them out, you can go to my website at jamiebryantbooks.com. Thanks for tuning in, boys and girls, and until next time, goodbye. Goodbye.